So, welcome back to Expert Advice. It's a bit of a change today, isn't it? You see, the talk, I'm reminded, could be either the Valerie talk or the Wimonshalau talk. So, today it was Johan. We are going to talk today about flooding. Why? Because, of course, this week, Mr. Plopprasop, the Science Minister, has been going along to each of the canals saying, well, it's going to be better this year if it floods. Some of us are not quite convinced, I have to say, and for those of us that went all the way up yesterday to interview Plopprasop, we're really not impressed, but that's another story. What we want to do is actually bring to you a gentleman who was affected by the floods and let him, as a foreigner living here, give you his tips and his advice. I'm pleased to welcome somebody who's not in that particular industry at all, but is actually the editor of Travel News Asia, which is an on-site website information piece on whatever you want to know about travel, Mr. Stephen Howard. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Valerie.
Whereabouts actually is your home in Bangkok, or is it in Nonthaburi?
It's in Nonthaburi. It's just off Ratanatibet Road, so just across the bridge from Sapan Panangau.
Okay, great location, right?
It is. It's a great location. The food over there is terrific, and you have the river to go with it as well.
You didn't only have the river, though, last year. You had all the excessive water to go with it.
I believe they even saw a crocodile.
Near your place?
I believe there was a sighting of a crocodile, but I didn't see it myself, so I can't. I'm not too sure about that.
How high was the water in your home?
It was basically just above the waist, so it's just over a metre and a half, roughly, in terms of the height. Everything on the ground floor, it lasted for around 35 days, and everything on the ground floor was pretty much destroyed, in fact.
Let's come up leading up to the floods. I mean, we were told it could happen. We were told that there may be some water coming through, but all the mubans or all the little house areas, the compound areas, it was like, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. What about the lead up to when the flood finally hit your muban?
There was a lot of warnings. Obviously, a lot of people thought it may come. And unfortunately, my travel schedule meant that I wasn't able to actually rescue some of the things that I have downstairs. So when it did come, it was really very much of a rush, if you like. And that is really why I think a lot of the stuff that I do have on the downstairs floor was unfortunately lost.
So sorry, please.
How much advance warning for your area did you receive? Because there was mixed messages and everything.
There were mixed messages. It was very much a case of, I think the neighbours, obviously a lot of people spoke to me, because being a Farang, I don't necessarily have access to Thai news and what have you. So in that aspect, a lot of people were telling me and my neighbours were getting involved. So they told us about a week in advance roughly what was happening.
Now, between the messages that you were getting from your neighbors who were Thai, were they?
Yes, yeah.
And the messages that you were getting of maybe things that you could find from your own resources, did you find that there was a difference between what you were hearing?
I would say with the English language media in Thailand, the coverage was very good, but I think it was such an unusual situation. Let's face it, this hadn't happened in 50 or so years, I believe, maybe even longer. The situation was so unusual that there was a lot of misunderstanding throughout the entire community, whether it be Thai, whether it be Farang, whether it be the local or whether it be the international media. Yes, I'd say there was possibly a little bit of apprehension, a little bit of confusion as to whether they may get flooded or not, whether it was going to happen to us. And of course, human nature dictates that we always seem to think that it won't actually happen to us.
So how well prepared were you when it actually hit?
Well, as I say, unfortunately, my travel schedule meant that I travel a lot, so I'm constantly on the road. So I was unable to prepare my house for the flooding, unfortunately. And that's why, unfortunately, everything on the ground floor was destroyed.
What would you do differently now? If they said a week out it was going to come, would you automatically move everything upstairs?
This is it. The water pump broke last time. So in terms of the water pump, we had to replace that. That has been now replaced to higher level than the floods of last year.
So you're in a two-storey home?
That's correct. So everything now, if there was a warning of a flood coming back, would move to the second floor. I would also this time put everything into perspex boxes, so that in that case they can float, first of all, and they don't destroy the clothes and what have you, don't get destroyed. And that's very much what I'd look for. I'd also possibly move some things to Hua Hin or somewhere further south, because if it does happen again, what we don't know is to what level it will happen again.
What about, there was this rush beforehand about the purchase of food. We had to buy food, we had to buy water. So when you went to the shelves, you couldn't buy. very serious for me. Tonic water, for example. But seriously, I mean, you just couldn't get the waters, you couldn't get the mamas, you couldn't get the eggs and so on. Did you pre-prepare, or you're aware you could not? What would you do differently this time?
Well, this time, as I say, very much. If we know that the floods are coming, for example, it's likely that Ayutthaya, unfortunately, might be hit again. If it was, then in that aspect, we would know in the Nonthaburi area that something was going to happen. And there, you would prepare the house, you would prepare your belongings, and you would have to decide: do you stay in the house, or do you move to somewhere else and get residence somewhere else?
Mm. What did you do last time? Did you stay in the house or did you go?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay in the house. The water was very deep. You couldn't get around. It would be by boat. So no.
What have you done now with the house that actually changes it? I mean, a lot of people have spent a lot of money doing the whole place again, painting, putting fences in, drainage, whatever it may be, even though the water comes up through the ground. What have you actually done with your home?
Well, it's very interesting. A lot of foreigners, they do different things, and in the Muban where I am, a lot of people have done different things. They've actually elevated, some people, the level of their house. Others have built a barrier, so it's at about 1.5 meters deep into the ground to try and stop the water coming up from underneath. Personally, what I've done is I haven't purchased any furniture for the downstairs. I've built a concrete kitchen because my kitchen was destroyed. I've even built a concrete dining table.
Is it a very attractive concrete table?
Well, obviously, I think so. I designed it.
Oh, okay. On the top, is it concrete too?
It's not, it's ceramic. So the whole table is concrete. Wow. It's covered with ceramic, and on the legs are actually built of tiles as well. So I think it looks great.
Starting a new business, are you, Stephen?
Please contact.
It's all very minimalist design.
It is at the moment, because there is only the kitchen and, of course, the dining table downstairs at the moment. There is nothing else.
Have you continued to stock food, stock water?
No, because I don't have a fridge. So because the fridge was also destroyed in the flood, and so I've just basically decided at the moment just to leave it. We see what happens this year. If there are no floodings again this year, then I will invest the little amount that is required for a fridge, and then maybe I will stockpile a little bit.
What about the garden and the fence? Because as I said before, the problem that we had last time is that it didn't just come in, as obviously, it didn't come through the front gate. I mean, it just actually came up through the ground. So given that fact, you know, people have built fences, people have raised the level of their gardens for whatever reason. What did you do?
Well, I've never been much of a gardener, I have to admit, but the garden that I did have, we basically are leaving it as it is at the moment. Everything that I had is destroyed except for 2 mango trees. What's very strange about the garden is I had one beautiful mango tree that was living up until about a month ago, and then suddenly it just decided to die. Now, I don't know what the reason for that is.
Water in the roots, maybe.
It could very well be, but in terms of the garden at the moment, we've left it as it is at the moment, just waiting to see what happens this year, and fingers crossed, obviously, that nothing happens.
Good. Well, we're able to just cover a small part of what Stephen has done. Hopefully he'll come back and talk to us again about how you can prepare for the floods. We're going to go to not another V Talk, but another really Johan Mimonchelau show. Stay tuned.
As we are ending our visit here to lovely Hua Hin, for all of you who may be just arriving though and don't know where to go, guess what? A resident here who's also no stranger to the show has created a wonderful map of all the sites and popular places that you should not miss. Not only that, but also serving up some of the best food here in Hua Hin as well. We'll go inside and find out all about it in these wonderful guidebooks, so don't go away. Joining me this evening is Mr. Hannes Wernley, who is the Managing Director for Just Do It. I know you've been in Thailand for quite some time. The pasta factory also having an anniversary, if you will, 10 years here in Hua Hin.
That's correct.
Been a lot of changes, I'm sure, seeing the town grow up around you and with you as well. From the first time you've moved here, how have you seen Hua Hin change?
Many changes here. When I came here 12 years ago, Hua Hin was really a fishing village. Now it doesn't look anymore like a fishing village. It looks like a tourist place, like many tourist places around the world. That means we have many shops here. We have the Hua Hin Market Village. That means a shopping center here, a big one. We have all this mix that every town at the beach around the world must have, and this is not really what I anymore like.
I know a lot of people are looking in front of us and seeing a lot of guidebooks here. another part of your many enterprises here in Hua Hin, and actually I see a lot of places outside of Hua Hin as well.
Yeah, and I start 12 years ago with the first Hua Hin map. I start 8 years ago with my Hua Hin guide in German and in English. But actually, I want to make the map because I always want to know where I am, where is my place I sleep, and where is some attraction and how far away is it, for example. Huh? And this to measure. That means I made a map and pack it in a book with all the other information. So, and then I had all the information and I turned it and made the map with the most important information from the book, with landmarks, with 3D landmarks, and with some important information now, like I had before in the book. And the same I do with Bramburi. It's a beautiful area, Bramburi.
Well, bringing it back to Hua Hin on a closing note, as a proprietor, as a business owner, Pasta Factory celebrating 10 years as I. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. That you see here, everything I made by myself. I saw it somewhere, I got something, and I made something with it. A lot of love here, feeling, and the people feel that. The people feel good. They see the details. And we have special in the afternoon, weekdays, until 4 o'clock, and we have a special dining card for the evening for 10% on everything. Here is it. The whole year, everybody, they come in and say, "Happy birthday, Pasta Factory." We'll get this nice card and get 10% on wine and everything.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
I say
It's been a
thank you.
pleasure. And we certainly want to invite everyone who's watching to come here to Hua Hin, visit the Pasta Factory, and check out the guidebooks for all the other wonderful destinations as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.